Question 1. A new product development project involves highly innovative technology with an undefined market appetite, and the client expects to see demonstrable progress every few weeks to provide feedback. The project team is cross-functional and co-located. Which project life cycle approach is most suitable for this project? A. Predictive life cycle, emphasizing detailed upfront planning and rigid change control. B. Incremental life cycle, delivering completed portions of the product at regular intervals. C. Iterative life cycle, allowing for continuous refinement and adaptation based on feedback. D. Hybrid life cycle, combining a waterfall approach for design and an agile approach for execution. Answer: C. Iterative life cycle, allowing for continuous refinement and adaptation based on feedback. The keywords, highly innovative technology with an undefined market appetite, and client expects to see demonstrable progress every few weeks to provide feedback, strongly indicate a need for flexibility, learning, and adaptation, which are hallmarks of an iterative approach. An iterative life cycle focuses on delivering evolving prototypes or versions of the product, learning from feedback with each iteration, and refining requirements as understanding grows. While incremental is about delivering functional pieces, iterative is specifically about learning and refining the product itself, making it ideal when requirements are uncertain or complex and continuous stakeholder engagement is crucial. This approach allows the project to discover the right solution over time, similar to how a software startup might continuously refine its app based on user testing. Question 2. Your project involves developing a new mobile application where initial requirements are clear, but the user interface and specific functionalities are expected to evolve significantly based on early user testing and market feedback. The regulatory compliance aspects, however, are fixed and non-negotiable from the outset. Which project methodology would be most appropriate? A. Purely agile, as it allows for maximum flexibility and continuous user feedback. B. Purely predictive, due to the fixed regulatory compliance aspects requiring strict control. C. Hybrid, combining a predictive approach for regulatory compliance and an adaptive approach for UI/UX development. D. Incremental, delivering the application in small, complete functional pieces without iteration. Answer: C. Hybrid, combining a predictive approach for regulatory compliance and an adaptive approach for UI/UX development. This scenario presents a clear case for a hybrid approach because it has distinct components with different characteristics. The fixed and non-negotiable regulatory compliance aspects are best managed with a predictive, upfront planning method to ensure adherence and minimize rework due to legal or safety requirements. Conversely, the user interface and specific functionalities are expected to evolve significantly based on early user testing and market feedback, are ideal for an adaptive, agile approach, which thrives on flexibility, frequent feedback, and iterative development. Combining these allows the project to leverage the strengths of both methodologies, such as using predictive for core infrastructure and agile for feature development in a new online banking platform. Question 3. A large-scale infrastructure project, such as building a bridge, requires extensive upfront design, detailed regulatory approvals, and fixed material specifications. The project is expected to last several years, and changes after construction begins are extremely costly and time-consuming. Which project methodology is most appropriate for this context? A. Agile, for its emphasis on continuous delivery and adapting to change. B. Incremental, to deliver the bridge in small, usable sections. C. Predictive, waterfall, due to the high certainty, fixed scope, and need for sequential execution. D. Iterative, to allow for frequent feedback and refinement of the bridge design. Answer: C. Predictive, waterfall, due to the high certainty, fixed scope, and need for sequential execution. Projects characterized by extensive upfront design, detailed regulatory approvals, fixed material specifications, and extremely costly and time-consuming changes are archetypal candidates for a predictive or waterfall methodology. In such contexts, requirements are well understood at the outset, and the execution proceeds in a largely sequential manner through distinct phases like design, construction, and testing, with a strong emphasis on minimizing changes once a phase is complete. Attempting to build a bridge with agile sprints, for example, would be impractical and risky given the physical constraints and regulatory environment. Remember that predictive approaches excel when certainty is high and detailed planning reduces future uncertainty. Question 4. During project initiation, the project manager observes that the project's requirements are very unstable and prone to frequent changes due to evolving market conditions. The client also emphasizes the need for rapid feedback loops and the ability to pivot direction quickly. Which of the following factors is the most significant driver towards choosing an adaptive, agile approach? A. The team's prior experience with agile methodologies. B. The project's fixed budget and strict deadline. C. The high degree of uncertainty and evolving requirements. D. The availability of advanced project management software. Answer: C. The high degree of uncertainty and evolving requirements. The most significant factor driving the choice of an adaptive, agile approach in this scenario is the very unstable and prone to frequent changes nature of requirements and the need for rapid feedback loops and the ability to pivot direction quickly. Agile methodologies are specifically designed to thrive in environments of high uncertainty and volatility, where requirements are not fully known upfront and continuous learning and adaptation are essential. While team experience, budget, or software can influence implementation, they are secondary to the fundamental nature of the project's requirements and environment. When you see high uncertainty, think agile. Question 5. A project manager is tasked with implementing a new enterprise resource planning (ERP) system. The core modules, example finance, HR, have well-defined, standard functionalities that must be configured precisely. However, certain departmental integrations and user experience enhancements are unique and will require significant stakeholder collaboration and iterative development to get right. Which methodology selection principle should the project manager prioritize? A. Maximizing flexibility by adopting a purely agile approach for the entire project. B. Minimizing risk by using a purely predictive approach due to the system's critical nature. C. Balancing control and adaptability by applying a hybrid approach. D. Optimizing for speed by using an incremental approach to deliver modules quickly. Answer: C. Balancing control and adaptability by applying a hybrid approach. The project description clearly indicates a need for both control and adaptability, making a hybrid approach the most suitable selection principle. The core modules have well-defined, standard functionalities that must be configured precisely, suggests a predictive approach for those stable, critical components. In contrast, certain departmental integrations and user experience enhancements are unique and will require significant stakeholder collaboration and iterative development, point strongly towards an adaptive, agile approach for those evolving, less certain parts. A hybrid approach allows the project manager to tailor the methodology to different parts of the project, leveraging the best of both worlds for optimal outcomes, much like building a house might use predictive for the foundation and agile for interior design elements. Question 6. Your organization is undertaking a strategic initiative to develop a groundbreaking artificial intelligence (AI) solution. The final product's features are highly ambiguous, and success depends on continuous experimentation and learning. Stakeholders are willing to be heavily involved throughout the development process, providing frequent feedback. What type of project life cycle would be most appropriate? A. Incremental, delivering small, usable AI components sequentially. B. Predictive, given the strategic importance and potential for high investment. C. Agile, emphasizing continuous experimentation, learning, and adaptation. D. Waterfall, to ensure all requirements are defined before development begins. Answer: C. Agile, emphasizing continuous experimentation, learning, and adaptation. The key indicators here are: groundbreaking artificial intelligence, AI solution, features are highly ambiguous, success depends on continuous experimentation and learning, and stakeholders are willing to be heavily involved throughout the development process, providing frequent feedback. These characteristics scream high uncertainty and a need for discovery, which are perfectly suited for an Agile life cycle. Agile approaches, like Scrum or Kanban, enable teams to work in short iterations, build prototypes, gather feedback rapidly, and pivot as new information emerges, making them ideal for innovative and research-heavy endeavors. Always remember that when requirements are ambiguous and discovery is paramount, Agile is your best bet. Question 7. A project has been initiated to upgrade a critical legacy IT system. Requirements are largely fixed and known from previous audits, but the technical complexity of integrating with existing outdated systems presents significant unknown challenges. The project sponsor is highly risk-averse and demands a detailed plan up front, but the technical team anticipates needing flexibility to solve unforeseen integration issues. Which methodology is best suited? A. Predictive, given the fixed requirements and sponsor's preference for upfront planning. B. Agile, due to the unknown technical challenges and need for flexibility. C. Hybrid, using a predictive framework for requirements and scope, but Agile for technical integration and problem solving. D. Iterative, to refine the system's functionality through successive prototypes. Answer: C. Hybrid, using a predictive framework for requirements and scope, but Agile for technical integration and problem solving. This scenario presents a classic hybrid project. The requirements are largely fixed and known, and the sponsor's demand for a detailed plan up front point towards a predictive approach for the overall scope and planning. However, the technical complexity of integrating with existing outdated systems presents significant unknown challenges, and the team's need for flexibility to solve unforeseen integration issues indicate that an Agile approach would be beneficial for the technical execution. A hybrid model allows the project to leverage the predictability of known requirements while providing the adaptability needed to tackle technical uncertainties, much like a traditional construction project might use Agile for interior customization. Question 8. The project manager is evaluating various factors to determine the optimal life cycle for a new software product. Which of the following conditions would least support the adoption of a purely adaptive, Agile methodology? A. High level of uncertainty regarding product features and market fit. B. A co-located, self-organizing project team with strong technical expertise. C. Regulatory compliance mandates requiring extensive upfront documentation and fixed design. D. Stakeholders who are readily available and committed to frequent engagement. Answer: C. Regulatory compliance mandates requiring extensive upfront documentation and fixed design. A purely adaptive, Agile methodology thrives on flexibility, emergent requirements, and minimal upfront documentation, which is why regulatory compliance mandates requiring extensive upfront documentation and fixed design would least support its adoption. Such stringent requirements typically necessitate a more structured, predictive approach to ensure all compliance milestones are met and documented before development proceeds. While high uncertainty, a strong team, and available stakeholders are all enablers for Agile, the presence of strict regulatory constraints often introduces a significant challenge to a purely adaptive framework, often necessitating a hybrid approach or a more traditional one for compliance elements. Question 9. Your project involves developing a new medical device that must adhere to stringent safety standards and pass rigorous validation tests before market release. The design specifications are critical and cannot change once approved by regulatory bodies. However, the software components for data analysis and user interface are innovative and require significant user feedback during development. Which life cycle approach is best suited for this project? A. Adaptive, Agile, due to the innovative software components and user feedback needs. B. Predictive, Waterfall, given the stringent safety standards and fixed design specifications. C. Hybrid, combining predictive for hardware and regulatory aspects with Agile for software development. D. Iterative, to continuously refine the medical device through prototypes and testing. Answer: C. Hybrid, combining predictive for hardware and regulatory aspects with Agile for software development. This project is a classic example where a hybrid approach offers the optimal balance. The stringent safety standards, rigorous validation tests, and design specifications are critical and cannot change once approved by regulatory bodies, all strongly point towards a predictive approach for the hardware and compliance elements. In contrast, the software components for data analysis and user interface are innovative and require significant user feedback, are perfectly suited for an adaptive, agile development, allowing for flexibility and refinement. A hybrid approach enables the project to manage the fixed, high-assurance components predictively while fostering innovation and user-centricity with agile practices for the software, much like building a smart factory where the physical plant is predictive and the automation software is agile. Question 10. A project manager is determining the appropriate development approach for a new marketing campaign. The creative elements and message are highly uncertain and need to be tested rapidly with target audiences, with the expectation that the campaign will evolve based on early feedback. The budget and timeline, however, are extremely tight, with a non-negotiable launch date in 3 months. Which factors should guide the methodology selection? A. The tight budget and strict deadline, dictating a predictive approach. B. The uncertainty of creative elements and need for rapid testing, favoring an agile approach. C. The organizational culture's preference for traditional project management. D. The size of the marketing team, which is small and co-located. Answer: B. The uncertainty of creative elements and need for rapid testing, favoring an agile approach. The most crucial factor guiding methodology selection here is the uncertainty of creative elements and the need for rapid testing with target audiences, coupled with the expectation that the campaign will evolve based on early feedback. These characteristics are fundamental to the Agile philosophy, which prioritizes adaptability and value delivery in short iterations, even under tight constraints. While a strict deadline might initially suggest predictive, Agile can also deliver value quickly and frequently, allowing for early market validation and pivoting when requirements are unclear, making it more suitable for discovery-based projects like marketing campaigns. The core need for adaptation trumps other factors in this specific scenario. Question 11. Your project is developing a new scientific research instrument. The scientific principles are well established, and the physical components can be sourced with high certainty. However, the software algorithms for data analysis are novel and require extensive experimentation and refinement to achieve the desired accuracy. Which project management approach is best suited? A. Purely predictive, given the well-established scientific principles and components. B. Purely agile, due to the novel software algorithms and need for experimentation. C. Iterative, focusing solely on the software algorithm development. D. Hybrid, combining a predictive approach for hardware development and an adaptive approach for software algorithms. Answer: D. Hybrid, combining a predictive approach for hardware development and an adaptive approach for software algorithms. This scenario is an excellent candidate for a hybrid methodology. The well-established scientific principles and physical components can be sourced with high certainty, lend themselves well to a predictive approach, where detailed planning and sequential execution are effective. Conversely, the software algorithms for data analysis are novel and require extensive experimentation and refinement, are characteristic of high uncertainty and discovery, making an adaptive, agile approach ideal for that component. By combining these, the project can efficiently manage the stable hardware development while allowing for the necessary flexibility and learning in the complex software aspect, much like developing a smart device where the manufacturing of the device is predictive and the software within it is agile. Question 12. A project to install a new, standardized accounting software package across all departments of a large corporation has just started. The software features are predefined, and customization options are minimal. The primary challenge lies in data migration and integration with existing systems, which require careful planning and coordination. Stakeholders require predictable milestones and a clear timeline for budgeting purposes. Which life cycle approach is most appropriate? A. Agile, for its flexibility in handling integration challenges. B. Incremental, to roll out modules to departments one by one. C. Predictive, given the fixed software features, need for clear timeline, and predictable milestones. D. Iterative, to continuously refine user training and adoption. Answer, C. Predictive, given the fixed software features, need for clear timeline, and predictable milestones. The keywords, standardized accounting software package, software features are predefined, customization options are minimal, and the stakeholder requirement for predictable milestones and a clear timeline for budgeting purposes, all strongly suggest a predictive life cycle. While data migration and integration can be complex, their requirements are generally discovered and planned up front in such projects, making a structured, sequential approach efficient for predictable outcomes. Projects with high certainty, defined scope, and a need for strict control over schedule and budget often benefit most from a predictive model, similar to rolling out a new standardized operating procedure across an organization. Question 13. Your organization is considering a project that is in a complex domain according to the Stacy matrix, characterized by high agreement on what needs to be done but high uncertainty on how to do it. Which project approach would be most effective? A. Predictive, to define the how thoroughly upfront. B. Agile, to explore different ways to achieve the agreed what through experimentation. C. Incremental, to deliver the what in usable pieces, regardless of the how. D. Waterfall, to maintain strict control over the what. Answer, B. Agile, to explore different ways to achieve the agreed what through experimentation. The Stacy matrix places projects with high agreement on what needs to be done but high uncertainty on how to do it into the complex domain, where agile approaches are highly effective. While the goal, the what, is clear, the path to achieve it, the how, is unclear, requiring experimentation, learning, and adaptation. Agile methodologies, through their iterative and incremental nature, allow teams to explore various solutions, build prototypes, gather feedback, and continuously refine the how until the desired outcome is achieved. This is akin to a research and development project where the objective is clear but the technical solution needs to be discovered. Question 14. A project manager is determining the best methodology for an internal process improvement initiative. The current processes are poorly documented and understood, leading to significant ambiguity about the root causes of inefficiencies and the exact solutions needed. The project team consists of process experts who are eager to experiment with new approaches. What is the most appropriate approach? A. Predictive, to thoroughly document existing processes before designing new ones. B. Iterative, to experiment with process changes and gather feedback from stakeholders. C. Incremental, to implement small, isolated process changes sequentially. D. Waterfall, to ensure a comprehensive new process is defined upfront. Answer, B. Iterative, to experiment with process changes and gather feedback from stakeholders. The core problem here is the poorly documented and understood current processes, leading to significant ambiguity about the root causes of inefficiencies and the exact solutions needed. This high degree of uncertainty, combined with a team eager to experiment, strongly points towards an iterative approach. An iterative life cycle allows the team to explore solutions in cycles, test assumptions, and learn from each experiment, gradually refining the process improvements as understanding deepens and feedback is integrated. This is much like a design thinking process where ideas are prototyped and tested repeatedly. Question 15. The primary difference between an iterative and an incremental life cycle is best described as A. Iterative cycles produce partial functionality, while incremental cycles refine existing functionality. B. Iterative cycles focus on learning and refining the solution, while incremental cycles focus on delivering usable components. C. Incremental cycles involve stakeholder feedback, while iterative cycles do not. D. Iterative cycles are always shorter than incremental cycles. Answer, B. Iterative cycles focus on learning and refining the solution, while incremental cycles focus on delivering usable components. The most accurate distinction is that iterative cycles are primarily about refining the solution through successive approximations and learning from feedback, especially when requirements are ambiguous or evolving. Each iteration builds on the previous one to improve the understanding of the desired end product. Incremental cycles, conversely, focus on delivering usable, completed portions or modules of the final product in sequence, adding more functionality with each delivery. For example, building a house incrementally would mean delivering the foundation, then the first floor, then the second floor, each as a usable part. Building it iteratively might involve building a small-scale model, then a larger model, then a prototype, refining the design with each step before full construction. Question 16. A project manager is presented with a project that has extremely strict legal and regulatory compliance requirements, meaning any changes after initial approval are extraordinarily difficult and costly. The project involves delivering a well-defined set of features within a predictable timeframe. Which project characteristic is the strongest indicator for choosing a predictive approach? A. The experience level of the project team members. B. The project's fixed budget and available resources. C. The stability and clarity of requirements, especially due to regulatory mandates. D. The organizational culture's openness to new methodologies. Answer: C. The stability and clarity of requirements, especially due to regulatory mandates. The most compelling reason for choosing a predictive approach in this scenario is the extremely strict legal and regulatory compliance requirements and the implication that any changes after initial approval are extraordinarily difficult and costly, which inherently translates to stability and clarity of requirements. Predictive methodologies excel when requirements are well-defined and stable from the outset, allowing for comprehensive upfront planning and minimizing the need for costly changes during execution. While budget and resources are relevant, the fundamental nature of the requirements driven by regulation is the primary determinant here. Question 17. An organization is undertaking a major digital transformation initiative. Some aspects involve migrating existing, well-understood data to new systems, which are largely fixed in scope. Other aspects involve developing new customer-facing digital services, where market trends are volatile, and user preferences are constantly changing. Which methodology would be most effective? A. Incremental, to deliver digital services in stages. B. Purely predictive, to ensure comprehensive data migration. C. Hybrid, combining structured data migration with agile new service development. D. Agile, to adapt to volatile market trends across the entire initiative. Answer: C. Hybrid, combining structured data migration with agile new service development. This scenario is a prime candidate for a hybrid methodology due to the clear dichotomy in project components. The migrating existing, well-understood data to new systems, with largely fixed in scope requirements is best suited for a predictive approach, which emphasizes upfront planning and sequential execution for stable deliverables. Conversely, developing new customer-facing digital services, where market trends are volatile, and user preferences are constantly changing, points towards an adaptive, agile, approach, which thrives on flexibility, frequent feedback, and iterative development. A hybrid approach allows the project to leverage the strengths of both methodologies, ensuring effective management of both stable and evolving elements. Question 18. A project team is highly self-organizing, possesses diverse skill sets, and has a strong preference for collaborative problem-solving. The product owner is deeply engaged and available to answer questions and provide feedback daily. These characteristics would most strongly influence the project manager to consider which type of project methodology. A. Predictive, for clear roles and responsibilities. B. Waterfall, for structured documentation. C. Agile, for empowered teams and continuous collaboration. D. Phased, for distinct stage gates. Answer: C. Agile, for empowered teams and continuous collaboration. The description of a highly self-organizing and diverse skill sets team with a strong preference for collaborative problem-solving, coupled with a deeply engaged and available product owner, perfectly aligns with the principles and environment where agile methodologies thrive. Agile promotes empowered, cross-functional teams, encourages direct communication, and relies on continuous stakeholder engagement to ensure the right product is built. These characteristics are foundational to the success of Agile frameworks like Scrum or Kanban, enabling rapid adaptation and efficient delivery of value. Question 19. When determining the most appropriate project life cycle, which of the following is the least important consideration for a project manager? A. The degree of uncertainty regarding project requirements and scope. B. The frequency of stakeholder engagement and feedback desired. C. The organizational culture and its receptiveness to change. D. The specific project management software tools currently licensed by the organization. Answer: D. The specific project management software tools currently licensed by the organization. While project management software tools can support a chosen methodology, they are generally the least important consideration in determining the most appropriate project life cycle. The core decision hinges on fundamental project characteristics like the degree of uncertainty regarding project requirements and scope, the frequency of stakeholder engagement and feedback desired, and the organizational culture and its receptiveness to change. These factors directly influence whether a predictive, adaptive, or hybrid approach will be most effective in achieving project goals, whereas tool selection is a subsequent implementation detail. Question 20. A construction company is undertaking a new residential housing development. The overall master plan, zoning approvals, and structural designs are fixed. However, individual homeowners will have the option to customize interior layouts and finishes within predefined parameters. Which approach would best manage this project? A. Purely predictive, as it's a construction project with fixed elements. B. Purely agile, to allow for maximum homeowner customization. C. Hybrid, using a predictive approach for core construction and an agile approach for individual home customization. D. Iterative, to continuously refine the overall housing development layout. Answer: C. Hybrid, using a predictive approach for core construction and an agile approach for individual home customization. This scenario is an ideal candidate for a hybrid approach. The overall master plan, zoning approvals, and structural designs are fixed, represent the stable, well-defined components that benefit from a predictive methodology, which ensures adherence to regulations and foundational integrity. Conversely, allowing individual homeowners will have the option to customize interior layouts and finishes within predefined parameters, introduces elements of flexibility and user-specific requirements, which can be managed effectively with an adaptive, agile, approach through iterative design and feedback with each homeowner. This combination allows for both control over the core structure and adaptability for personalized elements. Question 21. A new marketing campaign project requires rapid release of several versions of advertisements to gauge market response. The initial version needs to be deployed within 2 weeks, with subsequent versions released weekly based on performance metrics and evolving market trends. Which life cycle approach is best suited for this project? A. Predictive, to ensure all advertisements are perfect before launch. B. Incremental, to deliver functional advertising versions sequentially. C. Waterfall, to minimize risk of poor ad performance. D. Iterative, to continuously refine ad content and strategy based on rapid feedback. Answer: D. Iterative, to continuously refine ad content and strategy based on rapid feedback. The key phrase, rapid release of several versions of advertisements to gauge market response, and subsequent versions released weekly based on performance metrics and evolving market trends, strongly points to an iterative approach. This methodology is designed for situations where continuous refinement, experimentation, and learning from feedback are crucial for achieving the desired outcome. While incremental focuses on delivering usable parts, iterative emphasizes refining the solution itself through repeated cycles, making it perfect for dynamic marketing where continuous optimization is necessary. Question 22. Which of the following best describes the purpose of tailoring a project management approach? A. To minimize project risks by always using a predictive methodology. B. To apply all project management processes and tools regardless of project size. C. To adapt the project management processes, tools, and techniques to fit the specific project's unique characteristics. D. To always choose the most innovative Agile framework available. Answer: C. To adapt the project management processes, tools, and techniques to fit the specific project's unique characteristics. Tailoring is the fundamental concept of adapting the project management approach to suit the specific needs of a particular project. It acknowledges that no single methodology or set of processes fits all projects perfectly. Therefore, project managers customize the processes, choose appropriate tools, and select relevant techniques to optimize efficiency and effectiveness based on factors like project complexity, stakeholder engagement, team capabilities, and organizational context. For example, a small, internal IT project might need far less formal documentation than a large, multi-year construction project. Question 23. A complex R&D project has just been initiated with a vague vision but no clearly defined requirements or scope. The organization values continuous learning and discovery. The project team members are highly skilled and prefer a self-organizing environment. Which type of project life cycle would be most appropriate? A. Purely predictive, to force early requirement definition. B. Phased, to break down the uncertainty into manageable stages. C. Agile, emphasizing continuous discovery, adaptation, and empowered teams. D. Incremental, to deliver small, usable research outcomes. Answer: C. Agile, emphasizing continuous discovery, adaptation, and empowered teams. The presence of a vague vision but no clearly defined requirements or scope, a value for continuous learning and discovery, and highly skilled and prefer a self-organizing environment, team members are all strong indicators for an Agile life cycle. Agile approaches are specifically designed to thrive in environments of high uncertainty and ambiguity, where requirements emerge over time through experimentation and feedback. Empowered, self-organizing teams are central to Agile success, enabling them to adapt quickly and effectively discover the solution as they go, much like a startup developing a novel product in an emerging market. Question 24. A project manager is advising a team on a new software development project. The project involves upgrading a core banking system that handles millions of transactions daily. Any errors could lead to significant financial losses and reputational damage. The team is experienced in both predictive and agile methods. What key factor should weigh most heavily in selecting the methodology? A. The team's preference for a particular methodology. B. The potential impact of failure and the need for rigorous quality control. C. The duration of the project, whether long or short. D. The number of stakeholders involved. Answer: B. The potential impact of failure and the need for rigorous quality control. For a project upgrading a core banking system that handles millions of transactions daily, where any errors could lead to significant financial losses and reputational damage, the potential impact of failure and the need for rigorous quality control is paramount. This level of risk and criticality often necessitates a more controlled, thorough, and potentially predictive or hybrid approach with strong emphasis on upfront design, extensive testing, and formal change control, even if an agile approach is used for parts of the development. The criticality of the system and the cost of failure often steer projects towards methodologies that prioritize stability and thoroughness over speed or extreme flexibility. Question 25. An organization is undertaking a project to develop a new proprietary manufacturing process. The initial research phase has established the scientific feasibility, but the exact parameters and optimal sequence of steps for mass production are unknown and require extensive trial and error. The organization's culture strongly supports experimentation. Which life cycle approach is most appropriate for the development phase? A. Predictive, as the scientific feasibility is established. B. Incremental, to deliver portions of the manufacturing process sequentially. C. Iterative, to allow for continuous experimentation and refinement of the process steps. D. Waterfall, to ensure all process steps are documented before implementation. Answer, C. Iterative, to allow for continuous experimentation and refinement of the process steps. The key phrase, exact parameters and optimal sequence of steps for mass production are unknown and require extensive trial and error, combined with the organization's support for experimentation, strongly indicates an iterative life cycle. An iterative approach is designed for situations where the solution needs to be discovered and refined through repeated cycles of experimentation, feedback, and learning. This is different from incremental, which focuses on delivering finished parts, and predictive, which works best when steps are known upfront. This approach is ideal for R&D or process optimization projects where discovery is paramount, much like a chef perfecting a new recipe through repeated trials.